Hello everybody! So I just got done watching the newest episode of American Horror Story Hotel, and it was okay. It's called She Wants Revenge, and basically everybody wants revenge. So, yeah. So, here are my 3 favorite moments. Number 3 is Ramona's backstory. So, we figure out why it took Ramona so long to to actually act on the whole revenge thing against the Countess. Basically, she talks about how there's nothing worse than heartbreak. She says the only thing worse than heartbreak is being lonely. And so after the Countess killed her lover, she basically just went to her parents' house and kind of just became a recluse with them. She was talking about how going back to her parents' house made her feel younger and a little bit more alive and just better. There's nothing that makes someone feel better than being around people that unconditionally love you and just, support you and all of that. And that's what it did for her. It made her feel better. Sadly, her parents were old and getting sick and dying. Her mom ends up dying and she gets sad. Her dad ends up getting killed by 2 robbers. And this is after her dad started getting Alzheimer's and all of that. And she comes home one night to see her dad dead. There was a window punched out. Robbers came in, killed her dad. She ends up, in an act of desperation, ends up giving him her blood and bringing him back to life. But all it does is stop the Alzheimer's progression. He still had it. And so she had to take care of him, feeding him and bathing him and all of that. And there came a night where, when she was out and then she came home and I guess a couple other robbers tried to, get crazy and break in and all that shit. And she comes home to find 2 bodies there and her dad's all bloody. So he killed the robbers. And she basically just realized, that what she did was kind of selfish, keeping him there like that, keeping him alive. 20 years had gone by. So she had been taking care of him as a vampire for 20 years. And she finally just realized that it's not okay, and it's kind of selfish, and, it's just not okay. So she ends up killing him, drowning him, and she comes back into the world, and she realizes all the shit that she missed, like the, technology progression, and just everything in general, and being back out in the world kind of reminded her of, everything that happened between her and the Countess. And she got this strength from her being with her parents for that long. And, she utilized that strength to finally get the courage and the determination to go after the Countess. And that's what she's doing. So it kind of makes a little bit more sense as to why she waited so long to get revenge on the Countess. So, Anyways, so later on in the episode, we see Ramona going after the Countess. Doesn't happen. Why? Because fucking Donovan. He's such a little sneaky asshole. He's hot, but he is ridiculous. So he helps her get into the Cortez. He helps her get into the room, like the suite and all that. So Ramona goes to kill the Countess, and the Countess wakes up, and fucking Donovan goes and electrocutes Ramona and stuffs Ramona into that whole, okay, so remember in 2 episodes ago where they found Valentino and Natasha in that side house room thing? Well, the Countess had that reconstructed into a nicer little nook with cameras and all that shit. So Donovan goes and sticks Ramona in there. And obviously Donovan is with the Countess. She's on his side. It's stupid. But yeah. So. Number 2 would be we finally get to see Valentino and Natasha and what's going on with them, which excites me. because I actually really like that storyline. I find that kind of interesting. Basically, the Countess has a detective go and look for him, and the detective finds them at some cheap motel, tells the Countess goes over there, and basically they just get back right into loving each other. They love each other, and they're making out and doing their thing and having a good time. Valentino is a little taken aback by this new world. You know, he's used to the 20s and 30s and all of that. So he's kind of a little, I don't want to say scared, because he's not scared, but he's a little nervous about it all. He's more of a recluse, whereas Natasha is taking everything to the extreme. And the Countess is enabling her by giving Natasha her black credit card, just saying. And the Countess talks about how maybe they should just get rid of Natasha and it'll just be her and Valentino together. And Valentino's kind of iffy about the whole idea, but he kind of agrees. And, you know, the Countess invites Natasha back to the Cortez for girls' night. And Natasha's at first kind of like reluctant, but then she's kind of like, whatever, sure, we'll see. So we don't see the end of that whole thing, so maybe in the next episode we'll see what happens to Natasha. I'm assuming she's going to get killed, which is kind of sad because I like the whole idea of Natasha and Valentino and the Countess together. I don't know, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cute. And I think Natasha's really pretty, so yeah. And number 1, the Countess gets married to Drake and then has him get, like we all knew what would happen. It was nothing new, but it was interesting. So they get married, and it's really funny because in the wedding, the priest, he's like, does anybody have any objections to them getting married? If you do, speak now or forever hold your peace, blah, 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 that whole thing. And it was funny because Liz Taylor was like, I do, because the Countess is a bitch. She's a lying, evil bitch. And the Countess just looks at the priest and is like, just proceed. Just keep going. I thought it was funny because Liz hates the Countess now, like, big time. And I love it. I just love Liz Taylor. I think that is the best character on this whole season to me, personally. I just love it. Anyways, so they get married, and the interesting thing is, after the wedding, Mr. March shows up and basically is talking to Drake and is like, I think it's really, really great that you guys are having a blended family. It's so progressive of you. And Drake tells Mr. March, he's like, yeah, she really loves my son. And Mr. March is like, I'm not talking about your son. And then brings Drake up to room 33 and shows Drake Bartholomew, introduces him to him. And Drake is completely freaked out because he's weird looking. He's creepy as shit. He looks like a fucking alien from the Black Lagoon, bottom of the ocean, bottom feeder looking fish thing. Animal thing. Okay? I'd be a little creeped out too, to be 100% honest, if I saw such a creepy ass looking thing. And so he freaks out and he's like, what the hell is that? And that's when the Countess walks up behind him and she's like, wow, to think I was ready to love your son and treat him like my own and raise him like my own. And she was like, what would she say? She's like, I planned on killing you in Paris, but I can't stomach traveling with someone who has the balls to talk about my son like that. And then she tells him, she's like, I'm going to make sure that you suffer immensely. And she bashes him on the side of the head, which I thought was pretty badass. I don't know. I liked that scene for some reason. I thought it was interesting. And I really thought it was interesting how they had Mr. March introduce Drake to room 30, you know, like to Bartholomew. I thought it was interesting that Mr. March was the one to help her, you know, kill William Drake after the whole, you know, like, 'cause she was pissed at him about the whole Valentino and Natasha thing. So I'm thinking that he is involved in it, like, as a I'm sorry, let me help you kind of way. Not to mention the fact that he is just an evil character, and so he just gets all excited about killing and being a part of it, so he wanted to feel included. Anyway, so Drake wakes up in that side room area with Ramona in a cage, and she's like, help me out, help me out. If you don't, the Countess is gonna come back, and she's gonna put you in this cage next to me. Hurry, help me out. And so he does, like, you know, he doesn't realize that she's a vampire. And so he starts panicking because he's looking for the wall, and he's like looking for the way out. And he's like, oh shit, there's no way out. We're going to starve in here. And Ramona's like, I'm not going to starve, and slits his throat and starts drinking his blood. All the while, Mrs. Evers walks up and is staring down at him and smiling, watching him die while he's asking for help, just like she said she would earlier when she told him not to marry the Countess. She told Drake not to marry her because the Countess was going to kill her. And he didn't believe her. And she told him, there's going to come a time someday soon where you're going to need my help and you're going to be suffering, and I'm going to stand there and smile watching you die. And she did. She stood there and smiled while watching him die. She keeps her promises, you know, she's very loyal. Anyways, so that happened. So Drake is dead. All the while, the Countess is sitting in her room watching the whole thing on a flat screen TV as if it was some movie. It was great. I loved it. I liked that whole scene. I thought it was really interesting and funny. Side note, I also loved when the Countess and Liz had their first interaction, and you know, she told Liz, she's like, make sure that the flowers for the wedding come on Wednesday. And Liz Taylor laughed at her like, bitch, no, what makes you think I'm going to help you at all? She tells her that. And she's like, after what you did to Tristan, what makes you think I'm going to help you? And the Countess tries to tell Liz that Tristan never loved her, and Liz, and that he was incapable of loving, and Liz was not having it. Liz was like, fuck you. You might have taken him away from me, but you're not going to take that away from me, the fact that he loved her and loved Liz. And basically just throws it in her face and is like, screw you, I hate you, bye, bitch. And I thought it was really, really funny. I liked it. I thought it was a decent episode. Half the reason could be because there was no John, which is fine with me. We got to see Alex interact with those kid vampires, which was cool. And I'm just kind of excited to see what else is how we're gonna progress with this whole thing. Hopefully, Liz Taylor gets some revenge. I'd like to see her kick the Countess's ass, to be 100% honest. And I'm excited to see what happens with Natasha and Valentino and the Countess. More so, I'm excited to see how Mr. March is going to end his story, and I am stoked to see when the Countess finds out about all those little kid vampires. That's going to be interesting. I wonder if she's going to just try to take them all and adopt them all. That'd be an interesting twist. So we'll see about that. But anyways, let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe. And yeah. Alright, I'll see y'all later. Bye.